In this video, I'm going to talk you through the basics of Blender and how you can complete this snowman project. First thing that I'm going to do is open up Blender on my computer. And to open up Blender, I click on the magnifying glass for search, and I'm just going to type in Blender the name of our program. Blender 5 is the one that I'm going to click on, and it will take a moment, but it will eventually load up and you will be presented with this screen here. This is our Blender interface, and this is where we are going to create all of our 3D models and our 3D animations. It looks quite complex and overwhelming when we're first presented with it. We're only going to use a tiny fraction of what Blender is capable of, and there's a few specific tools that I will talk you through that we are going to use. Now, to start a new project in Blender, I'm always going to create general projects, so I'm never going to worry about selecting anything other than a general project on this screen. So I'm going to click on General, and it will take me into the Blender interface where I can begin to create my animations. The first thing that I need to do is just navigate my way around the interface. So in the middle here, I have got my main editing section. This is my scene, and it's where I'm going to create my animation and my 3D objects. I can press down the middle scroll wheel and hold it down and move my mouse, and it will allow me to choose the position of the camera that I'm looking at an object from. If I hold down the Shift button and then click down and hold the middle mouse button and move my mouse around, I can do something called panning, which is just moving around the space. And then finally, I can also use my scroll wheel by rolling it in and out to zoom in and out. They are the basic controls that will allow me to navigate around the interface. Now, we are going to create a snowman animation. The first thing that I'm going to do is get rid of this default cube that starts. So to get rid of it, I am just going to right click on it, and then I'm going to go to delete, and it will get rid of it for me. Now that I've done that, I'm going to add a base, which is going to be kind of like a snowy platform eventually, and I'm going to start to add my objects. I'm not going to add any color just yet, but I am going to look to add that in the next video. So to add a new object, I need to make sure that I have got object mode selected. So I've got object mode selected in the top left-hand corner there. And then I'm going to go to add, and I am going to add a mesh, and then I'm going to add a UV sphere. So add mesh UV sphere. There we go. And this is going to be the base of my snowman. At the moment, it is in kind of a weird position. It's halfway between the floor and the kind of world, if you like, or my scene. So I'm going to just change its position slightly. I'm going to move it up. On the left-hand side, I need to click on the Move tool here. So I'm going to click on Move, and I will see that the object now has these 3 different arrows coming out of it. If I click on the blue arrow, I can pull the object up, and I can position my camera to make sure that it is level with the floor. Wonderful. Now I'm going to add 3 more spheres, and I'm going to change the size of each of these to make it so that that is the main part of the snowman's body. I'm going to have another part of the snowman's body, and then the snowman's head too. So to do that, I'm going to click Add, Mesh, UV Sphere again. And there we go, it's added another UV sphere. I'm going to move this UV sphere above the original sphere, and then I'm going to change the size of it. So at the moment, the UV sphere is exactly the same as the one below it. I want it to become progressively smaller until we get to the snowman's head. So on the left-hand side, I am going to click on Scale, and then I am going to drag in just any of these coloured arrows that are coming out of it. For me, I'm going to do the green one. So I'm going to drag that in, drag it down, up there, and then drag that one in from the left too. So it's about that size. I'm then going to go onto my Move tool, and I'm just going to change the position of it slightly so that it is above the original sphere. Cool. We're going to add one more now. So we're going to go Add, Mesh, UV Sphere. There it is. This is going to be the snowman's head. So I'm going to move it right to the top. I'm going to go onto Scale. I'm going to make it much smaller. So I'll just play around with my scales. There are other ways to change the size of objects that we will start to look at, but we're just getting used to using the interface first of all. So now that I've got my snowman's head there, I'm just going to change its position slightly, move it down. Cool. Move it over slightly too. There we go. So that's starting to resemble a snowman. Now that we've looked at how we can start to create the outline of our snowman, we could take it further and start to add more details. So I could start to add eyes to my snowman. So I could go mesh and then UV sphere. And I could make this much smaller. So I'm going to go scale. I'm going to make it really small. And these are going to be the eyes of my snowman. I could add buttons. I could add a nose. I'm not going to use any object other than the UV sphere at the moment. I'm just going to keep it nice and simple. So make that maybe there. Then I can go onto my move tool and I can move it. This is going to be the snowman's eye again. Might make him have like big boggly eyes. Cool. If I hold down the control button on my keyboard and tap C and then tap V, it copies and pastes the objects for me. So I can start to add multiple objects much quicker. Cool, there we go. So I've got my snowman's eyes there. Now, the final thing before I wrap up this video that I'm going to show you is how you can add a light source, or start to see light is maybe a better way of saying it. So I've got my 3D object here. It's my kind of very rudimentary snowman. At the moment, it's being rendered without light. In other words, it's being shown without any light source. But adding light sources makes our objects just look much more interesting. So I'm going to turn on a light source into my scene. In the top right-hand corner, I'm going to click on this button here that says Viewport Shading when I hover over it. And when I click that, it'll take a moment to load, but we'll eventually see that our snowman, when it loads properly and reappears, there we go. I thought it was going to crash then. Our snowman now has a light source to it. And if I look around my scene, I can see that this here is actually my light source. And as I move it around the scene, the snowman will become illuminated from different perspectives. Very good. Now, I'm going to wrap up this video, and in the next video, I will talk you through how you can add colour to your objects.